Good morning to all of you. I am really thrilled to be here this morning. And also, I know that every keynote speaker, including me, says this, but I actually really mean it this time. I do. I am thrilled to be here because there's nothing quite like being in a room filled with believers who are leaders, people who are accountable, people who are making decisions, people who are influencing others, and people who oftentimes are carrying the weight of the collective world on our shoulders. So I want to talk about something that we all face: failure, real or perceived. And most importantly, how to fail forward, how to continue our forward momentum so that we don't get sidelined from all that God has in store for us. Let me start with a story, also under the heading of keynote speaking. I moved to Grand Rapids 9 years ago. It was January of 2017. And as an extrovert, I quickly plugged in, both professionally and personally, including finding a local running group, I'm a big runner, and joining a boot camp. I heard somebody say they were deciding where they were gonna work out in the morning. So I joined Burn Boot Camp on 28th Street. Yep, shaking heads. And I attended every morning at 5 a.m. alongside a bunch of other slightly deranged women who enjoyed getting our butts kicked for 45 solid minutes every morning at 5 a.m. We affectionately referred to our group as the Rooster Crew. So one Friday morning, it was my least favorite day. It was ab day. Okay, nobody cares about abs, whatever. There we all were, a bunch of slightly deranged women rolling around the floor, crunching and breathing and sweating like it was our actual real life jobs, when I ran over to the drill for the next exercise to do that move. And it included this metal hurdle that, like the kind you ran back in the day during track, and you're laying on your back flat on this mat with this metal hurdle over your midsection. And the move was to bend your legs at a 90, in, out, up, over, whatever, just crunch and breathe and sweat and do all the things to, have obliques. And I was doing this, and one thing you guys need to know before I continue on with this story is I don't do anything slowly, like nothing. God did not gift me with the skill of patience. So I am going all out with this when one of my leg swings did not clear the bar. In, out, up, over, didn't clear the bar, and I sent that metal hurdle, no pun intended, hurtling directly onto my face and knocked myself out cold. Yeah. All I remember is waking up to bright lights. I'm on this mat. I'm waking up to bright lights on the ceiling, and my friend Shannon, who's kneeling over me, she's all of 4 feet 8 inches tall, smiling and saying something encouraging, while I think at the same time trying to decide if it was too soon to laugh right in my face. Then I feel this blood trickling down my face. I have a sudden need to violate HIPAA, tell her my entire medical backstory because she's an HR at Meyer. It was a whole sight to behold. Now, I am also slightly competitive and obstinate. Highly competitive, pretty obstinate. So I finished the workout. This happened very early on at 5:05 a.m. And I thought, I'm staying till 5:45. This is what I signed up for. This is what I'm gonna do. So my head is pounding. I finished this workout, went home and took a shower. And back then I was still in enterprise software sales. So I had a noon meeting in just north of Indianapolis. So as I'm driving straight down I-69 South, somewhere around the Muncie exit, like the Ball State exit, I texted my friend Shannon this picture of my face real time. Oh yeah, it only got worse from there. It only got worse from there primarily because I had made plans to meet my daughter for dinner that day. She was attending IU in Bloomington. So I finished this meeting, I meet my daughter for dinner in Indianapolis, and shockingly, I pull in the parking lot, her car is there, which is never, because I'm always on time and she never is. So I walk through the doors of this restaurant, and I see my sweet, sweet baby girl sitting at a table. Our eyes meet. Now by this point, my eyes are swollen shut. Pretty much swollen, and I'm telling you guys, I don't think she's ever laughed harder straight in my face. I don't know, maybe circa 1988 when she saw my big prom hair, but in that moment, I thought, again, a whole sight to behold. So why do I share this story with you? Well, what I learned in that moment, while lying flat on my back at Burn Boot Camp, getting knocked out, and the subsequent moments thereafter, is how much it matters to have the right people around you when you run into obstacles, when you face adversities, when you get knocked down or even fully out, whether it's at the hands of yourself or the hands of someone else. Here's the thing, when we are in those challenging seasons of life, and as Jeff said, if you haven't been yet, you will be. You will be. You need a team of people. You need a Shannon. You need a friend, an ally, a partner, a trusted mentor, an advisor. And if you're leading a team or you're client facing, The interesting thing is the people that you rely on when things are hard in your own life as a leader are often the very same people that you are busy lifting up every day. And here's the additional rub. The stronger you appear externally, the less likely others will step in to help you when it's your time to fail, when you're in seasons of your own adversity. Help doesn't tend to come our way as leaders because people often think, oh, they're tough. They've gotten through worse. They'll figure it out. He's a leader, she's a leader. And the people who think that are not ill-intentioned. It's not that they don't care about you. Rather, it's because you have taught them how to treat you by going out in the world and taking care of your business. But the truth is, even the strongest leaders need support. I know we all know this cognitively. But my question to you is, are you living this out in your daily practice? Do you allow others to help you when you need it most? Or as leaders, do you tend to go about it alone? This brings me to a principle that shaped my life and my leadership, the and both mindset. Two things can be true at once. We hear this truth frequently, and I also know that we get this cognitively as well. But again, I ask, are you living like it's true? Are your actions indicative of this belief? Are you showing up in your circles as leaders and believing that you can feel uncertain as a leader and still make decisive moves? Are you showing up in your circles and feeling like you can care for your team and drive results? Are you showing up in your circles and living like you believe that you can act boldly while at the same time exercise empathy? Those last two, caring for a team and driving results and acting boldly while showing empathy, were the hardest for me to put into practice personally when I became the leader of a team of 18 people whose sole responsibility was to drive revenue results to the tune of about $10 million a year to fundraise. I'm a person who, yes, loves and cares for people deeply, but when I'm at work, it's more like, I'm sorry, why are you in my office? Okay. Honestly, I like that you guys are laughing because I know you all know this. Get out of my way. We have goals to accomplish. I love you, but I love you after 5, a little better. So couple that with the environment I was in at Mel Trotter Ministries and its mission to demonstrate the compassion of Jesus to anyone experiencing hunger and homelessness. And that created an internal leadership tension within me, which felt like a lot like ongoing failure. How could I be both so hard charging and lead a team to bring in 8 figures a year and also have care and compassion for them while I did it, while we did it collectively as a team? That was a real struggle for me. And again, I'm going to go out on a limb here and make an assumption that at least a few of you understand this tension. I mean, I think everyone in here just laughed at that because we get it, right? We are leaders for a reason. We get stuff done. But how do we continue to do that and care about people as Jesus has called us to do? And not only called us to do, but is arguably the greatest leader of all time, modeled that for us scripturally time and time again. How do we do it? I contend it's a matter of changing our thought process. When I was at Mel Trotter, I had to slow down long enough to respect and both thinking and live it out as a leader, such that when the team failed at hitting a monthly revenue number, we could still move forward with momentum without losing that momentum or losing even worse and just having like a degradation among the team and culture and trust. Because when leaders face tough decisions, revenue shortfalls, turnover, organizational realignment, there is rarely a right or wrong, but there is often an and both. You must protect your people and hit your targets. You must be empathetic and decisive. You must trust God and your own leadership instincts. Which leads me to how I believe we were both created. Right brain, left brain leadership. Effective leadership blends both sides of our brains. It's strategy and intuition. It's logic and creativity. The and both mindset isn't just about having resilience when we fail. It's about holistic decision making so we can strategically fail forward. Great leaders make decisions. We make decisions informed by both sides of our created brain, balancing head and heart, numbers and people. Now, this is very much a concept I had to learn through my education at a little place called the School of Hard Knocks. I think some of my friends in here thought I was going to say it, a little place called the Ohio State University. which, yes, is where my undergrad is from, and also where I very much had the opportunity to exercise both my creative and analytical thought processes on High Street primarily, circa 1991 to 95. Okay, side note, when I first put this presentation together as well, I had a little place called The Ohio State University, home of the most recent national champs. Yeah, I know. And then I had to redo this section completely, delete, but as a lifelong Cleveland sports fan, I'm pretty used to saying, there's always next year. Yeah, so regardless of which esteemed university is your preference, I know we have all been educated at the School of Hard Knocks over the course of our lives, both personally and professionally. It took me many years, as in, 4+ decades, 40+ years to understand that people are not all wired like me. But for the longest time, I truly did operate that everybody was a high D on the disc. I mean, why wouldn't God create a leadership utopia like that? It baffled me. But it turns out that when you inherit a team of 18 people, roughly 5.6% of them-ish are high Ds on the DISC profile, which for my left brain friends in the room is roughly 1/18-ish. For my right brain friends, let's just say I exuded exactly 0 empathy when one of the remaining 17 walked into my office, sat down, crossed one leg over the other, leaned back, grinned a little bit before proceeding to tell me what was on his mind. It went something like this. I said, "Hey, Jim," not his real name, "how can I help?" He said, "Well, Beth, I'm concerned about your pace." So then I started to grin. It was my turn to grin then. I said, "Okay, I have just one clarifying question. Are you concerned about my pace for you or for me? Because I've moved at this pace since I first learned to walk." Now, in that moment, I had to remind myself not only of a left brain, right brain leadership style, but more importantly, the leadership style of Jesus. Not once did Jesus put his theologically sound, analytical smarts on display. He didn't do that. He didn't lead from that lens as his front and center. Rather, he led from a place of constant empathy for his followers, for his people, for his brothers and sisters. And it didn't matter how those people showed up, right? Or, as we might recall, didn't show up, aka Peter. Jesus showed them love and understanding first, followed by the timeless leadership principle of, hey, next time do better. Now that you know better, go and do better. I believe in you. You're healed. You're forgiven. Go and sin no more. I encourage you to take your learnings and your growth, what you guys have learned at the School of Hard Knocks, and use them for the benefit of others. Because while strong, action-oriented leaders hate, typically, to feel slowed down, organizational success, relational success is much easier to come by when those leaders value their people first. In the heat of decision-making, your most important resource is your team. This is true whether at home or at work. Protect your people. Listen to them. Empower them. Be in relationship with them. Be in relentless communication with them, even when what they're saying seems amiss. I mean, are any of you in the throes of raising teenagers? Everything they say seems amiss. But it's your job to protect and lead them anyway. Whether it's a critical hire, a strategic pivot, navigating through tough seasons, failing forward happens best with others in your corner. If you self-isolate, that corner gets lonely quickly. An inner circle, by definition, requires that you let people in. But here's the slippery slope for people who are leaders and what makes it so hard for us to let people in sometimes. In addition to feeling slowed down when others are around us or in our office all day, if we happen to make a bad leadership decision or a bad parenting decision, or we just mess up some small detail, like we say we're going to do something, we forget to do it, we instantly feel like we have caused some catastrophic, irreversible failure. And feeling like a failure often leads us to feeling like we don't belong. When we experience failure, we often also experience unbelonging. Don't let that be the case in your life. You all have the tools, the experience, and the education you need to fail forward. As one of my all-time favorite writers and scholars, C.S. Lewis, said, experience, that most brutal of teachers, but you learn. My God, do you learn. Here's what I have learned through experience. You fail forward by stopping. You fail forward by stopping. And trust me, I know how counterintuitive this sounds. I never thought I would be the person to listen, well, to anyone, but also this. And I never thought I would slow down in my life at all, nor did I think that I would encourage other people to do that. I move 1,000,000 miles an hour at all times. We all move at different speeds. I mean, just ask Jim. But what I am saying as a person who has run over 30 marathons, who never sits still, who moves at all times is, in the middle of grief, in the middle of tumult, in the middle of failure, just stop. Just stop. Because it's and both. You can stop and process and grieve and lament while at the same time move forward strategically, soundly, confidently. So how do you do that? How do you do this? I mean, it sounds easy, right? Well, you guys tell me, because nobody knows you better than you. Nobody has prepared you for the failure, for the tough times that you will face in your lifetime better than you. You are prepared. I don't really care what your undergrad says, unless it says U of M. Then I might care a little bit. I don't care what your PhD says. I care that you've been through the school of hard knocks. I care that you have past experiences that have informed the decisions that you're using today. Use them, and use them wisely. Organizations are in business for a purpose. They have a mission statement and, as we know, also to be profitable. As the CEO of your own business, your own life, you are also providing and both. Every day, direction for your life and leadership into the lives of others. And similarly, just like organizational goals, you want those internal and external relationships to be profitable, to flourish. But life is nothing if not one giant roller coaster ride. Some years, your organizational profitability is going to be up, maybe even as much as 20 or 30% year over year. You might have profitability for 5 years straight, for 10 years straight, and then you don't. And then you lose a team member, a family member, a dear friend, a marriage. Maybe you lose yourself somewhere along the way. You're less profitable, you're failing, but you are prepared because you've got reserves. You're prepared based on everything you've already been through. You're not an ill-equipped leader. You're not an inexperienced leader. You're not a leader who has imposter syndrome, or maybe you are. But what I'm saying is you are a leader who has led the organization for 52 years in my case, for 20 years, for 40 years, for 70 years. I'm not pointing at anybody specifically back there, by the way. But the key to overcoming failure and moving forward doesn't lie in changing your circumstances. It's changing yourself. It's changing your attitude about failure. In my experience, failing forward requires confronting 3 things: a fear of failure, I have to confront that, a misunderstanding of failure, and an avoidance of failure. At some point in our formative years, what I like to call PE, pre-experience, we learned to have attitudes about failure that included these 3 barriers to personal and professional growth. Okay, let's tackle fear first. You guys all know the quotes. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nothing is so much to be feared as fear, and on it goes. It's all true. It is all true, because when you give fear legs, it is off and running and ruins your life. It holds you back from accomplishing any goal that you have, and it keeps you stuck when you fail. The only way to overcome fear is to tackle it head on. Action is the antidote. Like, you're afraid of heights, climb a mountain, get on a plane, take the stairs to the top of the river house condos, do whatever you need to do, right? Are you afraid of going underwater? Dive into an ocean, run into a pool, run a hot bath, dunk your head. Whatever we have to do to tackle things head on. Are you afraid of running a marathon? Join a running group, sign up for a 5K, take a walk around the block. But the point is, you have to change your attitude about fear, or fear will change your attitude about yourself. You will believe that you are a failure, and you'll remain stuck and you'll struggle to move forward. And I don't mean to belabor this, you guys, I don't, but truly, I think that fear is the greatest internal struggle we have as humans, and it's the main culprit for bad decision making. Fear is a natural emotion, but it should never paralyze you. Professionally, business leaders face fear every day: fear of loss, fear of disappointing clients or stakeholders, fear of making the wrong call. And personally, these fears also hold true, if not truer. Disappointing people or feeling like we are going to lose people we love is brutal. But when you operate like that, it holds you back from experiencing the kind of deeper agape love that we all crave, the kind of love that God created us to actually enjoy. You can feel an emotion with your right brain and use your left brain to use forward momentum and move forward strategically anyway. You can do and both. When my now 29-year-old daughter, I'm trying to decide if she's any sweeter than she was when she was 21. When she left for college, I was a single mom. And she's my only child. She's my only child. So I felt just like this visceral fear that she would never come home, that she'd fly the proverbial coop, that she would take these wings that I helped her spread and just fly far, far away. And I felt it so deeply, I can't even shockingly find words, which is rare for me, but I don't know how to describe it to you. I was just so fearful that she would never come home. Like when I got home from dropping her off at school, I literally walked in the door of our house, stood in the living room and just stood there. It was like a dog sort of chasing its tail. I just was lost. I didn't know what to do. And yet I forced myself to move anyway. I mean, I moved her physically, it was exhausting, to Bloomington, and I moved my life forward in such a way that thankfully our foundational relationship is held. It's transformed, it continues to change, much like in business, because it is true professionally as well. Build the foundations, lead by example, empower your people to fly, while at the same time tackling your fear as a leader of failure head on. You have to embrace the fear of an unknown failure, because most things that we are afraid of in life don't come true anyway. Okay, misunderstanding. What have you been taught constitutes a failure? What societal or familial, religious construct, self-induced construct is telling you that something that you have done in your past or something that you have yet to achieve equals failing? Much to the chagrin of human constructs, failure is not a number. It's not a single event. It is a process. You have to change your attitude and your understanding about what constitutes failure. It doesn't matter how many times you make a bad mistake, a bad investment, a bad decision. What matters is how you deal with it and how you move forward instead of remaining stuck in guilt or shame. We frequently confuse failure with our identities. Whether it's a lost deal, a misstep, doesn't really matter, but if it's a circumstance out of your control and you feel like you're failing, it doesn't mean that you as a human are failing. It only means that that effort did not produce the intended outcome. It's simply information. Learn from it, adjust, move forward. The takeaway from every failure is the lesson learned. You just have to make sure that you don't take away your identity in that learning process. I share this with you. Being a leader is not easy. And I share it with you so that you can forgive yourself, you can see yourself, and you can understand that you're not the sum total of your failures. It's not a math problem. It's a process. Your failures are why you're here. We wouldn't be who we are without them. See, we've been conditioned to believe that the opposite of failure is success, but life is so much more complex than one or the other mindsets. That's a reductive mindset, and well, reductive thinking leads us to reduce ourselves. I mean, isn't that how we've been taught to view failure? Like it's somehow a reduction, a depletion, a lesser than, limiting effort, like we didn't try hard enough? That's exactly when our identities become under attack. I failed, I suck, I'm a no good, terrible loser, and nobody's ever gonna wanna be in a relationship with a no good, terrible loser, not at home, not at work, and certainly not led by one. When you conflate your failures with your identity, all that does is render you stuck on repeat with the faulty narrative in your head that you're not good enough. I know this well. Changing who I was at my core to appease others, to make them feel more comfortable around me, has historically been my MO, but is also very detrimental to my learning curve. I grossly misunderstood the connection between my bad decisions, not collegiate decisions, by the way, and my identity, who I truly am. And yet, happily, I can stand here today and tell you with absolute certainty that every defining moment of my life has come as the result of adversity or failure. every single one. If I had not gone through those failures, I would have missed out on the things on the other side that awaited. Greater things. When you change your attitude and you understand that failing is the hallmark of spiritual growth and success, that your failures are stepping stones on your learning journey rather than stop signs, that is how you fail forward. And lastly, avoidance. All right, I'm not going to bury the lead here. You can't really avoid failure. But good luck trying. But we try all the time because so many people do not enjoy discomfort. We avoid crucial conversations. We try and avoid failing hard decisions just to protect ourselves. It's a self-preservation move, but avoidance only magnifies risk. Facing discomfort head on is what separates leaders from followers, and it's a true testament of our faith. Avoiding anything in life often leads to overthinking, paralysis, and self-doubt. Which leads me to why I'm standing here with you today, and I don't mean because Teresa invited me. I mean because statistically, I shouldn't be here right now. When I was 25, I found myself in the middle of a divorce, having been left by my daughter's dad, who after 2 years of marriage decided it wasn't for him. He told me that one day in our house, not in our home state of Ohio, but 7 hours away in northwest Indiana, Chesterton, Valparaiso area. When our daughter was 6 months old, he moved us there for his job, to climb the proverbial ladder and to chase a paycheck rather than his family. I can tell you now, 30 years later, with the gift of time and retrospect and forgiveness, that he did that to fill the void that we all have, that only God can fill. So there I found myself, 25 years old, alone with my 18-month-old daughter, trying to figure out how I was going to feed her, how I was going to house her, how I was going to love her as much as she deserved to be loved, with just me. And as I was trying to figure those things out, as I was desperately trying to pick up those impending pieces and fail forward and continue forward momentum, it was exactly then that I was diagnosed with leukemia and told that there was no cure, that I would most likely die within a year, 3 if I was lucky. That was a math problem because I was 25. So I hail from an Irish and Italian family, so it should come as no surprise to you that I grew up Catholic. And as a future leader who has always set out to achieve a goal, the only thing I heard growing up in Catholic church was that I was going to go to hell roughly 85 times a day. Maybe more if I skimped on the assigned Hail Marys in the confessional. And I say that in jest, not to be irreverent, truly, but to paint the picture for you that I truly thought that I was diagnosed with leukemia only as punishment for divorce. My achiever ears growing up in the Catholic Church and Mass every Sunday only heard the story of an angry, retributive justice sort of God. And as someone who has always wanted to win, I thought I lost everything, including my life, for failing. That life experience profoundly shaped my view of God thereafter. I learned what grace is. Heck, I learned what Scripture is. I just thought it was a missalette. It's 66 books of the greatest love story of all time. I just really thought the missalette was like Scripture. But most importantly, I learned what unconditional love is. It's about accepting the fact that no one can win every game. It's about recognizing that we are all flawed, that we all make mistakes, and we all deserve forgiveness just as much as we are commanded to forgive others. Unconditional love means knowing that relationships are not about perfection. They are not without failures. They are about being completely invested in one another. So I leave you some questions. Are you completely invested in your people, both personally and professionally? Are you living like you unequivocally believe that and both is true? Are both your words and your actions in alignment such that when life challenges you in ways that feel overwhelming, that you can face fear and act boldly? God's presence gives us clarity, courage, and the ability to persevere. Where do you need to act decisively and compassionately in your life right now? Where do you need to embrace fear and continue to move forward? God didn't leave me when I failed. He didn't leave me when I sinned, and he didn't leave me when I was sick. His presence got me through tough times then, and it continues to get me through every decision that I make going forward today. The lessons I have learned through every failure shaped my ability to trust God and my instincts in leadership, both in my life and in the lives of others. They taught me that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. Pray that you will continue to let him lead yours. Since as Christian business leaders, your faith, your vision, and your resilience are what allow you to fail forward without fear and move forward with unwavering confidence, because our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising up every time we do. Peace be with you guys. Thank you all for having me.